Hello everybody, my name is Chris and you're watching the Crazy Volucris. And today we are playing the Thinning Whale, Cormac Mac Airt on the Other Side of Midnight. A game by Paul Rose, published through TriskelionGames. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe, hit the like button, and if you ring the bell, I go crazy. Hello Paul!
Hello, Christian. How you doing, man?
I'm quite good. And you? Oh.
Yeah, I'm good. Having a busy morning. It's been fantastic so far. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the playthrough. I'm looking fantastic.
I'm just getting to the point where we're about ready, and I'll start talking you through it. I was like, where am I? I was just thinking, where's the tile stack for this scenario that we're going to play today? And I'm going through the tiles, and I've realised I've already set them aside.
Okay.
Yeah, so nice and organised.
So I was really happy that I found out that you got this dice placement, because I am a great fan of dice placement games.
Right. Okay. So yep, there's a lot of that going on in Cormac. If I push this box back a little bit, you might have a slightly better view. So
yeah, just push it a little bit upwards, and I have the whole player board from Cormac.
That's what I'm trying to get you. Yeah, try and get you that. So
just a little bit more.
Push it all back. Keep going.
Oh, here we go.
There. Push this back. I've got to see. I've still got to be able to reach the cards. So without go gadget arms. So like, we'll borrow Inspector Gadget for this one. We'll be fine.
So I got now. I see everything.
You can see all that now. Okay, fantastic. So this part of your player dashboard contains your attributes, and the hero card that slots into the dashboard has got your hero on it, which is Cormac Mac Airt through the solo adventure. You can play now as Grainne, his daughter. The back side of the card has this sepia image of the art and the backstory for the hero. The front of this slots into the dashboard here. There are a number of numbers above the symbols for the attributes. Then it tells you what the attributes are, and then in each slot on the dashboard is also the icon for the attribute. And you'll put into here a number of cubes. With each blue cube is 5, and each clear cube is a unit. So if he has 8 health, you'd need to put 2 more clear cubes in here, and so on until he's ready to be played. Now, you'll be testing these attributes in the game, and the number of custom dice that you roll is equal to the current value in your attribute, unless the game does not key the test to an attribute, in which case it will say to roll a hand of dice, and it might say search 2 on a hand of dice, and if it says that, it means to roll all 6 dice, and you're looking for 2 successes. If it said search 3 or search 4, that's the number of successes you would need. So correspondingly, it might say test might 3, and you would need 3 successes in a test of might. And as you can see, Cormac here has got 5 might, and I'll help you with those as we go, because I realise that
so what's the first 3 attributes?
Everything. So you have faith, will, metal, might, and then health.
So what's
but
metal?
You'll be playing metal is sort of how tough you are. It's like a measure of your endurance or your stamina, and how much pain you can endure. So we're going to be playing as Young Cormac today. Okay. So this card goes over this section of the board so that he doesn't start play with his sword mastery skill.
Okay.
And he doesn't get his long sword and his short sword. There are reasons for that. Now, it also overrides the attribute scores that are on the hero card with the ones that are on the Young Cormac card, because you're playing as Cormac when he's about 10. So you've got 4. You have a 5 in will. You should have 5 metal, and you should have 4 might. So we'll sort that out. I'll get you some extra clear cubes from over here. We'll pop that in. And you're going to have 6 health instead of 8. Now, obviously, when he gets into his prime, his might's going to increase, and then when you play as him in the winter of his years, as you will in Other Side of Midnight, his might starts to get lower, and so he only has the 5. Now we'll pop these action cubes here, and we'll put the corruption cubes here. Right. So ordinarily in the game, you're going to be tracking the round on this big D12, but in this scenario,
a really big
we're
one.
going to. Yeah, it's the idea for this is that you can, if there's 2 players, they can see the round number fairly easily wherever that's at. But I had a big squishy D12 that's like about that big, and I used it as a round tracker one time when I had a large group of people playing Vale, and I loved it so much that I wanted to have a nice jumbo D12 in the game, and luckily we've opened this up as a stretch goal. Now this is the noise tracker in this scenario. So if at the end of a game round you have created 12 noise, and this is on 12, we read from the Book of Revelations, and it doesn't go well for you, Christian. So I'm telling you, man, you want to avoid that. All right. Now, we're going to use we're going to find a little D6, probably one of these ones over here. Grab that, and this is going to be your round tracker, and there's going to be 6 rounds. Now, if you're still in the dungeon at the end of round 6, we're going to read from the Book of Revelations. And I'm telling you, Christian, it's not going to go well for you if you're still in the dungeon. All right. If you escape from the dungeon by the end of round 6, we read from Revelations, and it goes slightly better for you. And that's sort of, to me, the nature of Grimdark, right? Sometimes a little bit better is the best you can hope for.
All right.
So, yeah.
Oh, well,
let me
good.
Grab the tutorial that we're going to play, which is Raised by Wolves. So anybody that came to UKGE and demoed with us will be familiar with this scenario. They might see some things that they hadn't previously seen. In solo, you're going to have this card, which is the Sprig of Acacia. In 2-player mode, you won't have this, but this means that if you get knocked out into Twilight, you can make a full revive using the Sprig of Acacia. It's a once per game resurrection, effectively, and it'll restore all of your attributes to full. Okay. It's the only gimme that you're going to get. And in a lot of the scenarios, it's very, very valuable. So you might even go into Twilight and try to come back without using it. But we'll go into that should you go into Twilight. Hopefully you can avoid it. I'll pop it over here. It might be just out of shot, but I'll remind you if it's necessary to use that. Up here, you can see this card. Now, if you ever have an attribute drop to 0, you go into Twilight, your Twilight token goes into the middle space, and this represents your soul in ascension, and you're having a near-death experience. Your soul is going towards the light, but through an exertion of will, you might be able to force your soul back into the body. That's achieved by making will tests. Now, they're quite difficult will tests, but there are Twilight scrolls that are drawn that modify the nature of the test. And sometimes you might have an encounter whilst you are in this Twilight space, and it could be that that a demon tries to drag you away to the purgatorial wastes, or it could be that a god or a goddess takes some kind of liking to you and tries to help you on your way back to your body, or it could be another encounter with psychopomps. Now, pop that off to one side. All right.
So that's the reason why I prepared my screen, you know.
That's why you have the cosmos trying to get into your head. Or is it seeping out of your own mind?
Yeah, I don't know. It's up to you to decide.
We'll work it out. I'll tell you what, we'll judge that based on how you perform during the game.
All right. So maybe I have to switch my background, huh?
Yeah. I'll pop these here. To some sort of desolate graveyard, just in case things don't go well. Right. So these are the custom dice, right? So when you're rolling tests, you're going to be looking for combats, and there are 2 on each dice. Okay. Now I realise you do not have any dice. Now, would you like to use our dice app, or would you prefer to use regular D6? Because if you want to use regular D6, I can tell you the conversion.
I have I thought you rolled for me that I got it on the screen.
No,
Or
no,
should
I'm not going to roll for you. I'm not. You can roll. That's all
right.
good.
All right.
So
okay.
I trust you to have integrity and to be honest about what you roll.
Oh, okay. So then then give me a second. Then I have to because I'm recording it. I will set up my. I got a new fancy thing that I can set up a camera to film it along.
Oh, fantastic.
Here we go. So, yeah, you will not see it because I can't put it on the screen. But when you
that's fine.
When you watch the,
I'll explain then.
I mean, this is.
I'll
really
explain
basic.
for your. Right, I'll explain for your viewers. If you wanted to play the game and use just regular D6, you can have a look at your player aid, and the combat result at the top of the player aid can be a 5 and a 6 on a regular D6.
Okay, well, I make notes. I make notes along.
Interact. Yep.
Yeah.
The She Spiral, which is the interact, would be a 3 and a 4. The Triskelion, which is the class action, would be a 2. And then the little demon head is the enemy action, and that's the equivalent of rolling a 1. And that's all you would need in order to convert your dice results into the action icons for the game.
All right. Okay. Okay. So then I need a black dice tray because I'm in the shadows. So I don't use my brown one.
Okay.
Sorry for the noise.
No. I like the sound of rolling dice.
Yeah, me too. Strangely. All right, so I'm set.
It's very comforting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all good.
I'm set. I got
I'll
my
discard
dice.
that. Fantastic. Then we'll begin the tutorial, and I'll just explain any rules as they come up.
All right. Okay. All right.
So it is heavily narrative, Christian. So you'll have to brace yourself.
Oh.
We're going to be playing Raised by Wolves. Under the pale yellow moon of a landscape of gnarled trees and haunted forests, the young boy fled in a dream. He was panting hard, having been running for as long as the dream had lasted, which was as long as he could remember. Memory begins within a dream. It can end in one too. There was no warmth, no safety, only cold and biting wind and the certain knowledge of pursuit. Something terrible was on his trail, and if he didn't outrun it, death would find him. And then, nothing good happens when death comes to market. No man knows the true price of the soul, its value, nor in truth what lies beyond the coil. Perhaps a new dream, and a new memory. For now, the boy was running, but something was reaching for him, trying to find purchase. The more he struggled, the more those gnarled and spiked branches tore at him, held him back, until gasping, he knew he was quite entangled. Then the wolves began to howl. In their blood-curdling cries, the boy found at first fear, that was then tinged with something else. Longing? The howls seemed distant, but they were closing in alarmingly fast, like a winter storm. An ear-piercing warning seemed to split the night beneath the yellow moon of Dreaming's Hollow. A pit into which the boy had fallen and was for now snared. That cry, though, both nightmarish and horror-conjured, shattered the confines of the illusory, or cemented them. The boy awoke, certain that the wolves were a warning. Death was coming, and it would arrive with the dawn. So, at the start of the first game round, you're going to roll your 6 dice and make your conversions to your actions for the round.
All right, so I got 1 6, so 1 fight die. I got 2 4s, so this is our interact.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 2s, that's 2 class dice. And unfortunately, I got 1 1, this is 1 enemy.
Okay. So I'll now explain to you Cormac's situation, which is the scene setter for the scenario. And it'll explain a little bit about what he's facing when he wakes up.
All right.
Cormac awoke, his mind screaming to alertness.
His arms ached like ancient timbers on the hull of a ship which had been tossed about, adrift on tempestuous waters, with sails windswept and rain-soaked. He was all but naked, save for a loincloth, and wrestling with the shackles and chains that held him fast to the stone wall in the subterranean dungeon of his captors. He remembered the warning. He had been raised by wolves to escape before the dawn or die trying. These heathen men were going to sacrifice him to gods older than pagan. Cormac Mac Airt had more in mind than suffering such a fate feebly. That was not the way of a man, nor any warrior.
So at this point,
right.
Right?
Yeah.
At this point, the scenario will tell you how to create your tile stack. So I'm going to create the tile stack using the 3 tiles for the game.
Mm-hmm.
They are double-sided with prints on the other side. Now, you're going to tell me when to stop shuffling.
And stop, please.
Okay, there we go. We're going to pop them face down. Okay, so you can see that it's a relatively small dungeon to explore for your first game.
Yeah.
Now, in play, some tiles are event tiles, and they're going to have a narrative description in your scenario, and that will present you with a situation or possibly stock the dungeon with some enemies. Other tiles do not have a narrative entry. They are not event tiles. When you have that, you make a fate roll, ordinarily on a table that's presented in the scenario, and they're different scenario by scenario. In this tutorial, you're going to do both. You're going to make a fate roll, and you're going to have event tiles for every tile beyond the guard room. And that's so that you get used to all of the different mechanics in the game.
Okay.
So, we're going to start to explore soon. We're going to, first of all, before you can act, you have to clear any enemy actions that you have, right?
Right.
So in this instance, you have 1. So normally that would give an enemy that's nearest to you an action. But in this tutorial, it raises the noise by 1. So this dice, set to 1, you have made 1 noise. So he's come awake with a start, and he might have gone, when he's woken up, made a bit of noise, rattled his chains, which we're going to find out about here. So, you can hear the snoring guard. You know the face of that drunken demon. You know it as though you can see him, spread-eagled in stupor, on the other side of the arch. Pop him in, and we'll pop the arch in. Okay.
All right. So
you stop struggling with your chains for a moment to catch your breath. Listening intently, you hope not to have been overheard. You can see in the crumbling masonry where your chains run through rusted iron cleats that it might be possible to yank on them so hard that they could be wrested loose. You also can see a rat bone not far distant in the gloom of the dungeon floor. The flickering light of a torch set into a sconce in the adjoining guard room lends the dungeon an eerie glow. That rat bone might spring the lock on the manacles on your wrists. Then you espy the sharp rock. It is there, as though taunting you, just out of reach. But perhaps, if you try really hard and you bite back the pain, you might grab it with one desperate outstretched hand. That rock might shatter through these ancient chains. So with what you have generated for the round, you can roll a hand of dice, needing 2 successes, to attempt to grab the rat bone using a class action. Mm-hmm. If you succeed, you could then use an interact action, needing 3 successes, but you'd be able to re-roll any fails using the rat bone to pick the lock of the manacles that hold you fast. Now, with the interact, you could reach for the rock, and you would need 2 successes on a hand of dice to grab that rock. If you grab the rock, you can then attack the chains with the rock using your combat action. You could also use an interact to perform a Might 3 test. Now, Cormac as a young lad has got 4 Might, so he would need 3 successes on 4 dice, which you know is a difficult test. Yeah, but if he succeeded, he'd be able to pull those chains so hard he can pull them straight out of the rock and use them as a weapon for the rest of the tutorial. So those are the options that you have, and as you spend your actions, it can change up the options that you have in the scenario.
All right.
What would you like to do, Christian?
First of all, I've got one question. The tiles, So each tile is
Yes.
just one room, or are they divided by the roads?
Right.
Or...
So the paths, the paths generally depict where another tile can be placed, but each tile is its own zone.
Oh,
so
right.
yes, this is
Okay,
one
so-
zone, this is one zone. It
Okay.
costs, when you're free of the chains, it costs any action to move between zones.
All right, okay. So, to pick lock the thing, I need to stretch with the class and then to interact. So, for the class I need 2 successes, and for the interact I need 3 successes, right?
Yep. So if you're going, yep, that's right. If you're going for the rat bone, you need two successes. Good luck. You'll spend the action.
So, and a success for the class action, how much?
You're going to need to roll. You'll need to roll 6 dice, because that's a hand of dice, and you're looking for 2 successes, and successes are 5s and 6s.
So always, is this always 6 dice for a test, or does
No,
this...
if the test is key to an attribute, you roll a number of dice
All
equal
right.
to your current value in that attribute. So, for example, you have 5 in will. So if you had to perform a will test, you
So
roll
that only
5
4
dice. When you make
will, yeah.
combat attack, if you're attacking, you would use your might attribute.
So that's 4
You
dice.
have 4 in might. So when you make an attack, you'd be doing 4 dice. Yeah. Now the thing also to note is that when you roll a test, if you roll any enemy symbols, which in this case would be 1s, you're going to raise the noise by 1. Every time that you use a combat action, you will generate 1 noise for every 1 that you roll.
All right. So when we stretch the change, we got a weapon, right?
If you pull the chains out of the wall,
Yeah.
But you could also collect the rock, and the rock can be used as a weapon.
All right. So I try to pick lock first. So I roll 6 dice.
So okay, yes, you're going to try and get the rat bone.
Oh man. So I got 4 successes and 2 1s. So
Fantastic.
2 enemies.
Okay. So you raise the noise. Yeah, you raise the noise by 1. It's only when you're making attacks or using your combat actions that you could raise it by more, unless specified in the scenario. There is a moment where you might be able to raise it by more.
But
not that that's your objective. So you've reached forward. You've got 4 successes. So you collect the rat bone. Okay.
yeah.
So now that you've got the rat bone, when you make an attempt to pick the lock, you can re-roll the fails. The only thing is, the rat bone's no good for getting you out of the dungeon door. For that, you're going to need to find the charnel key.
All right.
This rat bone, however, can help you to pick the locks on any small chests that you might find as you
it's
explore
also
the
good.
dungeon. So we'll pop that off to one side there so you can still see that. Okay?
One question. As I rolled my first 6 die, I rolled a 1 as well. So shouldn't be the noise die to 3?
You've only made 1 test. So, and although you rolled 2 1s, in a test, it doesn't matter how many 1s you roll, it
All
will
right.
only come up by 1 if you roll any. Okay?
Okay.
So yeah.
So then pick the lock. So we do an
Right,
interact.
That's going to be an interact. Now, in this instance, you need 3 successes to successfully pick the lock. And you can re-roll the fails.
All right. Oh, I got only 1 success so far, so I can. So when I roll a 1, I can re-roll the 1 as well, or do I have to stay with the 1?
Yes, you can. You can re-roll all of the fails. Obviously,
Alright.
if you roll a subsequent one, then it would raise the noise.
So here we go. All right, so very good. I've got 4 successes and no 1. So
Fantastic.
I did it.
Then you very quietly, very discreetly pick the lock, and you are now free of the chains. So I'll just move him away from the wall a little bit there. And so now that you're free of the chains, you could collect the rock for any action. You could use your interact to search this tile. Whilst you're in the dungeon, an interact can always be used to search a tile, but once a tile has been successfully searched, you place a search token in the zone.
All right.
Which looks like this.
Okay.
And you put the little
Cool.
search token in, and then you know that tile has been successfully searched, right? Now, to successfully search, you need 2 successes on a hand of dice. Now, it's done this way through the tutorial to keep it easy Most of the tests require 2 successes, but some require 3. Searching for treasure is an interact, and you need 2 successes.
All right.
So you could collect the rock, you could search the tile, or you could spend any action to go through into the guard room.
So first of all, I would search the room with a second interact cube.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll do that. You need 2 successes on a hand of dice. Good luck.
I've got 3 successes and no 1.
Okay, so you don't create any noise, and we're going to put that search token into the tile, and then we're going to draw you a treasure card, which I'll just pull out from the middle of the deck. Okay, so in this game, treasure takes an unusual form sometimes. You've found some cinderconch, probably growing out some dead wood somewhere. Now, that means that you can spend an action to remove a poison dice from your board, or to dial down a poison dice by 1. So that's very useful if you get poisoned. So we'll pop that there underneath the rat bone. I'll let you know if it becomes valuable, but it could certainly be valuable in any of Cormac's ensuing adventures.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Good. So when I search, I already picked it up, so I don't need another action for picking it up, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
But if you want to collect the rock, that would be an action.
Yeah. So now I would
yeah.
collect the rock with the class action.
Okay. We'll get rid of that, and we'll give you the rock. Okay. So the rock comes with the damage type bludgeoning. So had you been attacking the chains, they have a damage resistance of 6, but a vulnerability to bludgeoning, which means that if you're using a bludgeoning weapon, you can ignore its damage resistance.
Oh,
now,
cool.
Cormac therefore could not possibly have damaged the chains until he picked up the rock. But once he picked up the rock, he'd bypass its resistance and be able to smash them.
Right.
Now, you'll get to add +1 damage to any of your might tests when you make attacks, whilst you're wielding the rock. And because the rock does not have a durability, you can't break it. Because ultimately, if you broke this rock, you'd just have 2 rocks. Right, I'll pop that down there.
Good.
Okay.
So,
We'll talk about carrying limits if it looks like you'll ever break it. Okay.
Yeah,
At the moment, you're fine. Yeah.
So the thing is,
So you've got
I got only 1 action left. So when I enter the room, it wouldn't be that good. But
that's right. And you might think, well, there's a slumbering guard there. Maybe I'll hit him on the head with the rock. So if that was the case, you can bank up to 4 actions. Okay. So in this case, you could put the combat in the top section on the left-hand side, transferring it to there. On the next round, when you roll up your actions, you would only roll 5 dice, and the combat would then come across to join the others when you're done.
Oh, I like
which
this.
is a very important. It's a very important way. Thank you. It's a very important way of managing your resources. Now,
Right.
You'll notice that I placed 4 little black cubes here, which I'm just. This is my little finger down here. So this is the 4 black cubes, right? These track your corruption. Now, if you
Okay.
ever get corruption in the game, you'll place a corruption in the lowest part of that bank, right?
All right.
Which is why there's no icon in this low part of the board. And for each corruption, you can bank 1 less cube. And if you
Okay.
ever become fully corrupt and you have 4 corruption, there will be triggers in the scenarios that will say, if you're fully corrupt, this additionally happens, ordinarily to a bad thing.
Okay.
And it will make the bad thing worse. So keeping on top of your corruption is also very important to play. Okay.
So one question, because I can't see it right. Okay, on the top I can bank a fight die,
Yes, you can.
and the second one from the top is
The second one is if you want to bank interacts, so that you can remember what nature they are. So, for example, if you only had 1 slot, you wouldn't know what kind of action you'd banked, but the kind of action you banked remains the same. So, if you put 1 in here and it's in the combat, next round when it comes back across there, it's still a combat. It can't come back as something else. And so that's how you know.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
So I'm assuming that you're going to bank that.
Oh yeah, I will definitely. I will.
Okay.
So then I'm rolling
So
5
now-
dice.
You finished the first round. Now, often at the end of a round, there will be a fate roll to make. So in the tutorial, I've made it that there's always one. Now, regularly that will be on a table, but in this instance, you're just trying to avoid rolling a 1. If you roll a 1, it represents Cormac treading on a splinter of bone or on a sharp rock and crying out from pain. Okay? So if you roll 1 dice, you're trying not to roll a 1.
Oh,
You're hoping not to roll a 1.
gosh.
You
I rolled a
rolled
1.
You've trod on a splinter of bone. Maybe there was another rat bone about. Anyway, it's now between your toes and digging in. So you've made a noise. You're on 3 noise. Okay. Now we'll go into round 2. So we'll move that dice up to the 2. And we'll transfer your 1 action across from the bank into the top. And you have 5 dice to roll to generate the rest of your actions when you roll up. So
All right.
roll up, sire.
Oh, so I got 2 fighting die.
Okay, 2 fighting dice. Yep.
2 interact.
Bring you up to 3. Yep.
And unfortunately, another enemy. So another noise.
Okay. All right. So I'll talk you through the mitigation of noise. Currently, you're on 3. You don't want it to get to 12 by the end of the round. So you could perform a hold still. A hold still sacrifices your actions for an entire round. Okay.
Oh.
Now, when you've only got 6 rounds to escape from the dungeon, that can be bad. However, it can be useful as well. It represents Cormac freezing, realizing that he's made some noise, hoping that he doesn't cause any attention and lying low for a round. What happens is, instead of raising the noise, you deduct your noise from the remaining actions, and then you will have 4 left, right? Because you have 5 actions up here, you've created 1 noise, you would have 4 left if you take 5 and minus 1, right?
Yeah.
With the 4 actions that are left, you can spend some of the actions to lower the noise.
Oh, that's also possible. Okay, cool.
Yes. And I'm telling you now because obviously it could be useful. You might think, oh, I'll hold still and lower the noise, but you're only on 3 noise. And you might think, with this many actions, I'm going to go through and try and take this guard out. Your mileage may vary. I don't know what you'd prefer to do. So,
well, yeah. The next thing I would do is go in and try to smack the card. I don't know how much.
So we discard that. Yep. We find the 4, which is hiding. There it is. There's the 4. Okay, so you can spend any action to walk into the guard room.
So,
and obviously you're going to want combats to take him out. So you'll probably want to use an interact, but you might think 2 could be enough.
So this is up to the experience, but right now I will go for sure. So I will use the interact to sneak into the room.
Okay, so with that done, I'll read you the guard room description. As you enter this chamber, you see the slumbering guard, a flagon of discarded ale spilled onto the flagstones at his side. He snores loudly. It instructs you to place his health into the zone. And he has 4 health. He doesn't have any armor, so he doesn't have any defense. He's very under-equipped for a guard, and that's probably why he's gotten drunk, because he's got such a terrible job. Now, if you roll a dice, if you get a 2, a 5, or a 6, which is equivalent to rolling a class or a combat, you will be lowering the noise by 1 because he's snoring so loudly. If you get another result, he's sleeping fitfully. On 1 dice.
Oh, on 1 die. All right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I got a 5. Though it's a fight die.
That's wonderful. That will lower the noise. He's snoring away, and that's concealed some of the noise you've made whilst you've been rattling your chains and yelping out from treading on a splinter of bone.
This goes good.
There is a torch in the chamber. If you do not collect the torch, this chamber will remain in light. All other chambers are in darkness unless you find an alternate light source or you come back to collect this one. To collect the torch, you will be spending any action. When you do so, you roll a red d6 and you place the number that you roll onto the dice icon on the card for the torch. At the end of every upkeep, you dial this up, and when it comes to a 6, it can't burn up further and the torch is then extinguished.
Oh, all right.
But you will then be able to carry the torch with you. Right.
Okay.
Now, why would you do that? Because in darkness, when you're attacking, a hero must re-roll successes, and only subsequent successes land. Now, there are some characters and magical effects that can mean you see perfectly well in the darkness. But Cormac is like us, and he doesn't see so well in darkness. So, you realise that if the guard wakes up,
He will raise the alarm when he notices what you've done and that you are gone. You also see the key at his belt. That is the key to the dungeon. You need it to escape this place. If you try to steal the key without harming the guard, spend an interact to test 3, raising the noise level by 1 per enemy result. If you succeed, claim the charnel key from the artifact deck. If you choose to attack the guard with the rock, spend a combat, roll dice equal to your might, and deal 1 damage per success, and +1 damage from the weapon. Bear in mind, each enemy result made while attacking will also raise the noise level by 1. The guard has 4 health. Dial it down for each damage that you inflict. If he is alive after you've hit him and finished attacking your guard, it is the enemy phase, and he will get an activation. He may be a little punch drunk, but he could have something to say about being attacked. Okay, so what would you like to do, sir?
Well, I use a fight action and I will smack him with the rock.
Right. So you'll be rolling 4 dice, and you're looking for 5s and 6s, and tell me if you roll any 1s.
Oh, I'm lucky. I rolled 2 successes and
Okay.
no 1.
Then he will take 2 +1 damage from the rock, 3 damage. 4 minus 3 is 1, so he has 1 health left. So if you hit him again quickly, you could take him out, and then he won't be a threat.
So, okay, so I got another action then, because he's still alive, so he's not, he's reacting after my round.
That's right, when you've
Alright,
you've
okay.
used your actions.
Yeah, well, so I use another fight action and roll another 4 dice.
Good luck. If you get a hit, he's going to be taken out.
Yeah, there are 2 hits, so 3 damage.
Okay. Fantastic. Did you roll any 1s?
No 1.
Okay. So that means that you've very much overzealously struck him. And so he's going to be down to about, did you say you got 2 successes? So that's 3 damage. He's on -2 health. Okay. So we've taken out the guard. Now, because you've exerted so much force that you've killed him, you get the soul. Now, a soul can be used in a number of ways in the game. Had you have dropped him to exactly 0, he would certainly have been unconscious for the remainder of this scenario, but you would have had the option to have continued to hit him somewhat psychotically until you stoved in his skull. If you'd made that choice, you would have gained 1 corruption, but you still would have got the soul. Okay?
I see.
But you took him out with an overexertion, and it's almost like you took him out on accident, right, Christian? No,
well,
you meant that, didn't you?
The rock is hard.
Yeah, and his head was softer than it. All right, so with your soul, you can re-roll all of the dice in a test. You can re-roll all of the dice in an attack, or you can re-roll all of the dice when you're rolling up. The other things you can do with a soul is that if you get 5 souls, you can purchase a skill card from Cormac's skill card set, which hopefully is this one on the right hand side. Let's have a little look. No, those are Grainne's. I'll grab Cormac's set. That's Cormac's cards. Every character's got 12 skill cards.
Nice.
And skill cards cost 5 souls to purchase, unless they are a once per game skill, which there's probably an example somewhere in here. I think there you go. The Fate Spinner is a once per game card. So this would cost 10 souls because it's a slightly more powerful card. Okay. So that's another way in which souls can be spent in the game. Right. And you've got one. So that's good. I'll try and remind you when it might become useful to you. For now, you've got an interact and a combat, and you could collect the key. And I would urge you to collect the key because you need the key to escape the dungeon.
I will.
But also, I played this game and someone got all the way to the exit and then realized they did not pick up the key.
So
and I felt quite bad for not telling them.
No,
Yeah.
no, I remember you mentioned the key, so that's what I'm doing. I will collect the key with the interact. So there's another question. Does the guard got any other weapon as well, or is it just barehanded?
He might not have a weapon. Now, you can search the body of the guard to find out. And that would be an interact, which you just spent to collect this. You could spend the combat to collect this if you'd prefer. I'm happy to reverse them. Right. Now, you'll see that this has got a grip on the key that is this skull. Every charnel key in the game has a different skull on the head of the key, right? And some doors require multiple charnel keys to get them open.
Oh, wow,
and
cool.
They could be rooms to vaults or secret rooms with treasures in them. And in particular, in the expansion Reaver, it's a big facet to exploring the labyrinths. Anyway, for this scenario, this is the key to the dungeon door.
All right.
Okay,
Cool.
So you've got an interact. Now you could search the tile, you could search the body of the guard, or you could use the interact to move into another zone, or you could bank it for the next round. What would you like to do? Oh, you could also collect the torch.
Yeah. But first of all, I will search the dead body.
Okay, so we'll search the body of the guard. You need 2 successes to do that. So roll a hand of dice, which is all 6 dice, and you need 2 successes. And if you're successful, we'll find out what you get from the guard.
And I've got only 1 success. That's terrible.
Okay.
Only
if the
1
guard's
6.
got anything on his body, did you make any noise?
No noise.
Okay, well that's good then. If there were any items on his body, you've not been able to find them. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't any, and you can of course spend interacts in the future to make another attempt.
All right.
That is the end of round 2. So, you're going to roll that 1 dice and hope not to roll a 1.
Oh, I rolled a 2. That's good.
Yeah, you're okay there.
Yeah.
So we're going to go now into round 3. So now I'll talk to you quickly about what's special about round 3. Round 3 is a trigger round. Now, trigger rounds, because the number 3 is important to the Celts, trigger rounds occur in the scenarios on round 3, 6, 9, and 12, and repeat. Now, these will mean rolling on a fate table instead of what you've been doing at the end of the round. Sometimes in addition to what goes on in the enemy phase. So there can be quite nasty effects sometimes, but occasionally it could be that you've earned the god's favour and you'll get some kind of a boon. You won't know until you make the roll at the end of round 3, but I thought I'd give you a heads up that that's coming. Now, if you roll up your actions for round 3, we can begin.
All right. Oh, terrible roll, terrible roll. So I've got 1 enemy. I got 1 fight.
Yep.
1 interact.
Yep.
No, 2 interact, sorry. And 2 class.
2 interacts, okay.
And 2 class.
And 2 class. Well, that's not a terrible roll. That's quite good. That's all right. Gives you lots of options. We'll clear this and raise the noise to 4.
Yes, please.
And then you can begin to spend your actions. What would you like to do? You've got quite a number of options.
Yeah, first of all, I will pick up the torch.
Okay. What action would you like to use? Are you going to use a class action for that?
What else can I do with the class actions?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I will tell you. So when you have skill cards, and sometimes when you have other items, class actions can be spent in addition to casting costs and things to augment the results or to increase the potency of spells and things. Now, class actions are often used to inflict perhaps a critical hit in an attack or to increase the length of a spell and its duration for a caster. But at this level with Young Cormac, they're mostly used to move around the dungeon and all of those sort of universal actions like picking up the torch or picking up the rock was. If an item's been dropped, so for example, say you had too many items and you had to discard one, you would place the item that you chose to discard in the tile. You could later come back to that tile and collect the item. Any item that's just lying around on the dungeon floor can be collected for any action.
Oh,
so that's what you'd be using your classes for.
All right, so then I use a class
that's
action for picking up the torch.
Okay.
So then I roll a die for the duration.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, I rolled a 1. That's good.
That's great. Okay, so what I would do if I don't know, if just make sure that I've placed these cards somewhere that viewers can see. But in this corner is an icon, and that icon is the same size as the dice. So you would put the dice in there on a 1. Yeah, now in the upkeep, you would dial this up to a 2. then in the next upkeep to a 3, and so on until it gets to a 6. Can't be dialed up more. Torch burns out, right?
Right.
However, because this is only going to last for another 3 rounds, we know that the torch is going to last for as long as you have it in this scenario.
Right.
So we don't need to worry about tracking this. It's just unnecessary upkeep.
All
so
right.
we won't do it for the purposes of the video, but I thought I'd explain it. Okay.
Good. I'm
So
fine with that.
Yeah, all good. Okay. So you've got a class, you've got 2 interacts and a combat. You could, of course, start to look for the exit to the dungeon by exploring another tile. You can do that by spending any action to go in any direction, and you would nominate the direction. Then you would draw the tile, orient it how you choose, and place it. It's more important in the boss battle at Denizens of Midnight how you place tiles than generally speaking it is. There is a scenario. There is a scenario in the tutorials that it can be significant. Now, that's if you want to explore. You've collected the torch. You could search the zone using an interact for treasure. You could search the body of the guard, or you could get moving now that you've collected the torch. What would you like to do?
I will get moving because the time is running fast, and we are already at round 6. So is there
No, we're on round 3.
Yeah.
So
but we got only 6 rounds to do.
6 rounds. So you're halfway. At the end of this round, you're halfway through the game.
Yeah. So
he's feeling it.
So when I go exploring, can I peek into the next room, or do I have to enter the next room?
Yeah, you have to enter. So you spend an action to go into the next room.
So that's what we do with the class action. We will enter the next room. So and
I'm not sure where it would show up best. Do you want to go up here? Do you want to go here?
No, to the right, I guess. So that's better for the
here. Okay. Camera. Yeah.
For the camera.
Okay. So I stopped where you told me to stop, and you have found the hallway straight away. This could be a short dungeon, viewers. All right. So.
Oh, so this is the exit already?
Yes, you found the door.
Oh,
now,
that's great.
If you make a fate roll, you'll need to roll 2 dice.
2 successes.
The new tile. Well, you just tell me what you roll, and I'm consulting a table.
So, do I have to roll my faith die, and need 2 successes?
No.
Or
It's as you enter and explore a new tile. It is an event tile, so there will be a narrative description.
Oh, right.
But
okay.
it also requires you to have a fate roll. That's done on 2 dice.
All right.
In
okay.
solo, you can re-roll one of the results, and you consult a table which is in the scenario.
All right. Okay. So I roll 2 dice.
Exactly.
So I got a 4 and a 2, which total to a 6. I don't know.
Right. So the 4. Here's how it works. The 4 is an interact. If I look at the table, it tells me to place a trap because you got an interact. The other result you got was a 2. That means I can place in a treasure chest. Now you're going to want the treasure chest, so we'll put that in, shall we?
Yeah. Yes,
but you
please.
can make up your mind.
No.
You can make up your mind if you'd like to re-roll the trap that you generated. Because in solo you can re-roll 1 result.
All right. So I will roll the trap die.
It's a good idea. Traps could be quite lethal in this
and I
game.
rolled a 4 again. So.
All right. So we've still got the trap.
Yes, please.
I don't know. I feel like you might be lucky. There we go. So traps have got the active side and the inactive side.
Okay.
Sometimes if you trigger a trap, it will tell you they reset, so you leave this in. And if you sometimes when you trigger a trap, it will tell you they do not reset, so you remove the token. In this case, it's live. Now, I'll read you the room description from the event. So, the barrier to freedom stands before you at the end of a corpse-laden hallway. Bodies of the unfortunate victims of this cult of madmen who captured you and slaughtered so many of your people, presumably including your parents, litter the chamber. They are strewn about everywhere, and you feel sickened. Perform a metal test 3. So you've got 5 in metal. Good luck.
All right, 5 die. Metal 3.
Yes.
Oh, and only I rolled only 1 success and 2 enemies, 2 ones.
Okay. In this instance, the enemies don't matter, but the fact that you only got 1 success does, because it means you failed the test by 2, and you take 1 attribute damage per point by which you fail.
but I can use my soul to re-roll the test.
You can. Yeah. Would you like to?
Yeah. Yes, please. I will, because otherwise I get 4 damage.
All right. So we burn the soul, and you can now roll 5 dice.
Do I have to re-roll
3 successes?
You
have to re-roll the entire test. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So. Oh, here we go. That's a 4 6s and 1 1. I made it.
So you've got 4 successes. You passed the test, and therefore you don't take any damage. However, there is a penalty for not taking any damage from the horrors that are around you.
Oh.
If you succeed and you are unaffected, you gain a corruption because you have become so insensate to the horrors about you.
All right. Okay. I take it.
Yep. Now, I'll read the rest of the description. So, the door can be unlocked with the charnel key by spending an interact action. You may pass through the door using any action. You may sacrifice 2 actions of any type to exchange them for an interact whilst you're occupying this tile. If you leave this tile through the open doorway, read Revelations 1.6. It will end the tutorial. Now, you've got a trap. If you do anything other than drinking a potion or reading a scroll, you're going to trigger this trap.
All right.
You can search for the trap using an interact. They're badly concealed in this dungeon. You only need 2 successes on a hand of dice to be safe from the trap. But if you fail that test, you'll trigger the trap.
Well, I will use an interact to... wait, can I use the fight die to search the trap, or do you have... No, you have to use the interact.
It has to be an interact.
All right, okay, so we use an interact to find the trap.
Okay,
so a handful of dice.
Successes. Exactly, yeah.
Oh man, and I only got 1 success and 2 enemies. Oh no.
All right, so that means you're going to be triggering the trap, and you made a noise whilst you were searching for it. So we're up to 5 noise, which I'll find the 5. There's the 5. And I'll reach over here and grab a trap card from the deck. And I'll just give them a quick shuffle. Right, I'm going to take the first card I've got there. It's a dud! It's a dud! Something clicks, but nothing happens. If a trap was ever present, it seems it is in disrepair, and it no longer poses a threat. That's so, jammy, Christian. That is jammy.
This is the reason why I got this is my I'm holy with my background.
Yeah,
so
you're a lucky
really
man
lucky.
because the cosmos is right. The gods are with you.
Yeah.
Right. You have an interact and a combat. You could use either of them to try and get into the chest.
I will.
Now you need 2 successes. You can either attack it with the rock, right, and you can smash the chest, or you can use your interact to try to pick the lock. Now, if you either action, which would you like to do? Obviously, if you try and smash it with the rock, you're using an attack action, and that could raise the noise.
I will. I still got the bone from the rat bone, so I will try to pick the lock with a interact action.
Okay, so you need 2 successes, and you can re-roll your fails. Good luck.
On a hand of dice.
That's right. Yes.
Oh, here we go. That's 3 successes, and no 1 is rolled.
Okay. Now, because this, there are some chests that you might get open, and the scenario will designate what is inside the chest. But this chest was a randomly generated chest, and therefore it has a table. So we flip the chest to its open side, and then you will roll 1 dice on the chest table to see what you've got.
All right. So I got a 6.
So that's a combat, which means you get to draw from the equipment deck. That's quite good. So I'll give them a bit of a shuffle as well, because I don't know. I played this yesterday, and I certainly didn't give anything a shuffle. So we'll see what you get. You found a dusk blade. Ooh. This is a really powerful item. So you're very lucky to get this. It's a superior blade, and now I'll talk about this perhaps if you come around to using it. But this is a cursed blade. It's +2 negative energy damage to living creatures, and it will do. But if you strike an undead creature with it, it actually bolsters their health by +2. It's a cursed blade. So a hero will always attack with it as though in darkness. And there's no way to negate this. But if you land the blow, it has piercing and it has 2 damage. So that will inflict more damage. So it's it's a powerful weapon, but it comes with a cost. Okay.
And what's
pop
the
it down here?
What's the icon below? So the below the damage.
Oh, sorry. This is the durability. So it has 2 durability. So the quality of the weapon is superior. Now, items in this game have 3 qualities: inferior, standard, and superior. So in this instance, if you attack with this and you roll 3 enemy results when you attack, you will damage the blade and lower the durability by 1. Okay?
All right.
And if you did it a second time, you would break the blade. However, if you had a standard item, then if you rolled 2 enemies, you would take 1 durability damage. And if you had an inferior item and you rolled 1 enemy when you're attacking, you would take 1 damage on the blade. Inferior items tend to have very low durability. Standard items tend to have more, and superior items tend to have more. The Dusk Blade, being a cursed weapon, is quite fragile.
All right. Okay. I see.
We'll pop that there.
Okay. So
You've got Dusk Blade. You've got Dusk Blade. What are we going to do with that? Right, we've got a combat action left, which you can't use to open the door. You might want to bank it, or you might want to discard it, and it is the end of round 3 after that. So you'll have a trigger round.
So so what could happen on a trigger round? Is this? Let me surprise myself. All right, because I don't know what will happen, I will bank the fight die.
Okay, so we pop that across there, and you can still bank it because obviously your banking limit is 3 now.
Yeah. Because
you've got 1 corruption, but that's fine. So okay, make a roll on the fate table, which is done with 1 dice at the end of the trigger round. And we'll see what you get.
I got a 6 again.
Haha. Okay. A guard has discovered your escape. We're going to place a guard here.
Ooh.
We'll give him his 4 health. So, this guard will activate in the next enemy phase. So at the end of the next round, that guard will start to activate. But if you generate noise at the start in the hero phase, when you start to use your actions, he's going to start coming towards you instead of raising the noise.
Oh, that's a cool mechanic. Okay. So and how much action does the guard got when he's on what's the turn? So when I finish my turn.
Okay, so when he gets his action, should he get an action, you might escape from the dungeon before then. And I wouldn't blame you for running away if you get the opportunity. But should he get an action, he will have 2 dice to roll, and based on what you get, he will then act. I think he has 2 dice. I'll just check, make sure that's his behaviour. Yeah, he gets 2 dice. So it will depend on what you roll. He might shout out. He might start moving towards you. So yeah, he can become a real menace. If you're going to linger, but you are right by the exit, so it will be on your own. It'll be on your own head, be it, sort of thing.
So I will roll just to see what actions I got, and then I decide what to do.
Yep, we go into round 4, and we'll transfer that across, and you roll 5 dice when you roll up, and we'll see what you've got.
Yep. All right. So I got 2 more fight actions.
Okay.
I got 1 interact and 2 class actions. So when I remember right, I can swap 2 class actions for 1 interact action.
Yes, you can.
Or I can do or I can do the fight, or I can do the fight as well. 2 fight actions for 1 interact action.
That's correct. Yeah.
So when I remember correctly, I needed 2 interacts to open the door and 1 whatever action to get out.
1 interact to open the door and any action to get out.
Can I transfer later, or do I have to do it at the start of the round?
You can You can unlock the door whenever. Oh, you mean when you want to switch these up? You can do it at any point during the round, as long as you're occupying this tile. You can do it.
All right. Okay. So, can I do it when the guard is still on the tile, or is this also possible?
Yeah, you can do it when the guard's on the tile. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, first of all, I will start with an interact to open the door. Try to so I got the key, so it's open.
Yeah, that's correct. You've got the channel key, so you can unlock it with an interact. That's done. You're ready to leave if you want to.
But then again, I got three combat, so I could go with the 2 class actions right to the guard and then smack him 3 times before he can do anything. Right?
You absolutely could. Yeah, you could do that.
Well, otherwise it would be a little bit boring. Just get out. And now I got this fancy blade.
And you've opened the door, so you've got an escape route. You're going for him, aren't you?
So why not having a little fun? So, what do you think? Yeah, of course, having fun.
2, you dart in there and you're going to attack him. Now, are you going to use the dusk blade or the rock?
Of course, I'm using the dusk blade.
Okay, well, good luck.
Yeah.
Let's hope that you hit him. So
maybe
you're going to be rolling.
Yeah, well, maybe
you roll 4 dice.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go on.
Maybe the dusk blade whispered something in my ear. Go back and kill him.
Yeah, collect his soul.
Go back and kill him. So I'm as a young Cormac, I did not know better, and I want revenge big time. So I'm rolling 4 might die.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this corridor up here, it was full of the dead people that are your people, man. Like, your parents could be in there, so yeah, you got every right to be annoyed with this guy.
See?
Right, so you roll 4 dice.
And I got 2 successes. Unfortunately, I rolled a 1 as well.
Okay, so we're up to 6 noise, but if you re-roll the 2 successes, because the dusk blade always acts as if you're in darkness, because it's a cursed blade, re-roll the 2 successes.
I got 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay, so you still got 2 successes. So
yeah, still.
That would do +2 damage from the dusk blade. The guard is living, and so you would get to add 2 damage from the negative energy. So it does 6, and you kill him in 1 hit. He is killed. Okay. The dusk blade was a very, very lucky draw. There's 1 of them in the deck. So you have now got the soul of that guard. Okay,
that's good. So, and I got 2 more actions, and then I will just go back to the entrance. Or
okay, and you're ready to escape in the future. Okay, that'll be the end of the round. Roll 1 dice to see whether you generate any noise for treading on a splinter of bone.
I rolled a 5, so I'm safe.
You're good. Yep, and we're going into round 5. So if you generate your actions for the round, you would have spent those to move over there. Yep.
Oh, plenty of fight dice. So I got 4 fight, 1 interact, and 1 class.
So 4 fight, 1 interact, and 1 class. I will tell you now that there are some scenarios where you'll gain a corruption if you use a dusk blade. But it doesn't happen in the scenario.
Well, I could take 1 more corruption, but
yeah, right. You'd still no, exactly. So it would still be something that right now you would do. I think. Right. So you're right by the door, and you can leave the dungeon if you wish, or you could double back and start exploring. But what if you get caught up whilst exploring?
No. The last thing I will do is I will search the room with the interact.
You've got an interact. Absolutely. Yeah. So if you roll, you need to roll a hand of dice, and if you get 2 successes, you've succeeded in searching the room.
So I got 2 6s and a 1.
So we are up to 7 noise. So we'll find the 7, and then we'll grab you a treasure card, and we'll see what you've got. You found the scroll case. Now, the scroll case is really great because when you find this discarded scroll case, it still contains a scroll. So you actually get a draw from the scroll deck as well. So we'll see what scroll you've got. It always seems to come to the top. You've got a scroll of defense. Now, a scroll to use is an interact. Okay, so you have to spend an interact action to use a scroll. if you were to do that with this, the hero gets to add a defense for the number of rounds equal to the roll of a cooldown dice. So you would set this down. You'd get a blue dice, which is a cooldown dice. You'd roll that. He's only going to have that defense for 1 round. But if I'd rolled a 6, I would have had it for 6 rounds.
Okay.
If I was a caster, I might be able to spend class skills, class actions to increase the duration. So, for example, you've got a class there. So if I had a caster, I'd be able to make that 2 rounds.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now, that's how the scroll works. Now, when you've got this scroll case, you can carry 5 scrolls in this scroll case.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Now, ordinarily, a scroll is 1 item, and you can only carry 5 items plus what you've got in your hands, right? Now, because the scroll case only counts as 1 item, you can put 5 scrolls in there, so it's really useful to have.
But I got more than 5 items, do I? And I got a sword in the hand and a torch in the hand.
Yeah, at the moment you've got a sword in one hand, a torch in one hand, and you've got 4 items, and the scroll case makes 5. So you're fine at the moment. You're at your limit. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I see. So then there's nothing left to do, and I will leave the dungeon.
Okay. So we'll spend a class, and then you've got all the combats when you pounce outside of the dungeon, ready to take on anyone that's out there. There we go. So we'll read the Revelations result for 1.6. Cormac Mac Airt tastes the cold air of freedom as the doors to the slave pit give way to scenes of the enemy camp by night. There don't seem to be any sentries, and the sound of drums emanates from the middle of the camp. Who are these reavers, and where have they taken him? Cormac knows not. Heading for the tree line beyond the camp, you keep low and remain vigilant, darting from hut to hut, until finally you can make a break for it. In that moment, you hear the drums stop. Men are shouting in your wake, and a horn sounds. Dogs can be heard. Then a solitary scream pierces the night, and you see a search party gathering. You have a choice. If Cormac runs into the Nightmare Forest, play Tutorial 2, The King in the Crypt. If instead Cormac flees into the high places, on the mountain trail, play Tutorial 3, Reaper's Hollow. Well done, Christian. You've escaped from the dungeon in time. You had a full round left, so you could have had a little bit more time to have explored some extra tiles, tried to get a bit more, but you came out of that dungeon with a ton of stuff and the very rare Duskblade.
Yeah, that's great. So my first question will be: so when I now playing on, do I keep all my equipment, or is this only a one and done, and then I start from scratch?
Everything carries over to your next game.
Ah, that's cool.
Including your attributes. If you want to play the games and be a little easier on yourself, you can restore your attributes between scenarios. Most players like to do that. I don't. I like to play it where I go straight to the next scenario with exactly the same attribute values that I had at the end of the last. So, for example, if your health had been 3 when you come out of here, I would start the next one with 3. Still carrying those injuries. But that's, everybody's mileage varies, so some people don't like permadeath, for example, but I don't mind that. I like the threat that if you go into Twilight, you have your near-death experience. If I die, I'm happy to begin over. Not from the start of the scenario, but to play the entire story again. But everybody can decide for themselves.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would carry it over everything. So just like you, to get the full experience, and I don't mind failing and start all over again.
Yeah, that's I'm very much of that mindset, and the game is designed very much like that. So obviously, in some games, the tutorials are fairly simplistic. And in this one, because it's a brief scenario and there's not too many tiles in the stack, you also got very lucky. It was the first, it was a 1 in 3. You were lucky-ish, but you escaped the dungeon fairly quickly. There's plenty more that you can experience even within this tutorial, and I won't spoil it because we could play it again at some point, and I would love to do that because I've really enjoyed my time running this with you and playing through this. And you'll see how much variance there is even within this simple tutorial. Yeah. But you've managed to see a little bit of an enemy phase. You've seen how actions work, how tests work. how searching for treasure works. You've seen fate rolls, you've seen event tiles, you've dealt with a round trigger. By the time that you've played this short scenario, you've covered pretty much everything in our 20-page rulebook.
That's
with the
really
exception
nice.
of perhaps
it's really
the
nice.
Twilight.
Yeah, it's really nice. So one question I got. So first of all, thank you very much for guiding me through this game. It was really, I love it. So I'm already a backer. So the only thing, you know, that is a little bit disturbing is that I have to wait a little bit longer to get my hands on it. But
yeah, sorry about that.
It was really, really cool. Thank you very much. And
you're very welcome.
So one question: Do you got a small cheat sheet card as well for guiding me through the round? Ah, perfect.
We do indeed have a player aid card with the hero phase written on it. Okay.
I really
sequence of things.
Yeah, I really love this because so many games don't have it. They got it on the back on the rule book, and you always got to handle the big rule book. And so with a small card, perfect.
On the flip side of that player aid card are the actions and their general applications. Obviously, as you go through scenarios, there's a lot of variety. That's part of the sort of the generative dungeon experience. That's part of the roguelike features of the game. Somewhere down here. Funny that you mention it. I've got the scenario book has the tiles on the back with the key for them.
That's very good. It's also very helpful.
When we talk to, I'll have a little chat with backers when we get done to see if people would want a little code on them. But I find the little codes, once you get used to them, there's only so many tiles. Once you get used to them, they're very easy to identify.
Yeah.
And there are also images in the book for the setup, so it's pretty easy. But if people want a little code on there, we do have a variant of the tiles that has it. I just preferred them without. This is actually this is in relation to what you said. This is the back of the rulebook. The back of the rulebook has every icon in the game on it.
Okay? So this is
even
also
ones
very
you don't
helpful.
see very often.
This is very helpful. Very good.
And underneath it all, there's a little bit about the scaling and the Twilight conditions, because of obviously this game has scaling by the number of upgrades you have. So the more skills that you collect, the more upgrades that enemies might get. Now, it's quite generous, but at the same time, it does mean that the threat escalates as your own abilities do. And certainly also by the number of heroes. So again, in solo, you've got that Sprig of Acacia card. If you go into Twilight for a revive, you don't have that if there's 2 players. And when you entered a tile, you could re-roll one of your dice on a fate roll. And you don't get to do that in 2-player. You just suffer the fate of what you roll. And so you'll see a lot more traps, and traps are particularly deadly in the game. You were very lucky again, because the one that you got was a dud. If that had been me, I would have been splattered and the ceiling would have come down on me or something, I'm sure. Yeah. The way it goes sometimes.
When I rolled for the trap, I was like, damn it, I should have saved the soul for the trap, not for the whatever. Either way,
I was thinking that, and I thought, don't say it. You don't want to jinx it.
Man.
And I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Well, I was lucky, so very, very cool.
Yeah, you were very lucky at various times, and you also controlled the noise really well without ever having to hold still. I will say that at UKGE, a guy that really enjoyed the game, he was still in the shackles at the start of round 5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So he rolled
and then
bad.
His luck turned. He rolled so badly, and he was holding still a lot, and he was making so much noise, and then his luck turned, and it was really weird because I said to him like the manifesting of the negative vibes. I was doing the thing from Kelly's Heroes, right? And I was like, negative vibes, man. And suddenly his luck turned, and he got out, and he got into the room with the guard. And he decided that he would try and steal the keys. And he rolled like 5 successes and he got the keys. And he moved into the next tile, and it was the exit tile. And he had just enough actions to unlock the door, and on his last action, he escaped.
Oh, really?
And I was like, yeah. And he was like, at the start of round 5, he was like, there's no way I'm getting out of here. I'm so dead. And it was like, no, man, it's just it's negative vibes, man. You need to be positive. And it was sort of, then it all happened. I was like, that's amazing. So, but you started with the cosmos all around you, right? So you had all of the gods on side.
Yeah, see, that was the good karma.
Yeah, your version of Cormac's going around with a cursed blade, shanking everybody and coming out with all the treasure. So yeah, it was great. I've really enjoyed playing this. I'm hoping that we can play more in the future, sir. It's been huge fun.
Yeah. I will always join another round. So, of course, I will. So,
fantastic.
So you're still on Gamefound for the crowdfunding?
Yeah. Right now, as we talk, there's we finish tomorrow night, so Tuesday night in UK time. The campaign ends.
So I have to be quick to get it up today.
Oh, if you're going to do a video and hope that it has some effect on our campaign, for sure. But if you're just doing the video to show people what the game's like and your response to it, you can take your time with that, sir, because anything will help, and eventually there'll be a late pledge and people can come in there and if they like what they see.
That was the next question. So there will be a late pledge on Gamefound as well?
Yeah, there will be a late pledge.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be a late pledge. Obviously, if the video were up in time, I implore people to come in and back, because it will open up stretch goals and increase the content for people, and there's some great stuff that's behind the gates. Is what I've been calling our stretch goals the gates. We need to get some gates opened. So yeah, it would add if we can get there, we could add a second player to Reaver, and then potentially a choice of second player where you get to play as a really big nightmarish cat called a cat sith, and you can actually play as a cat sith in the dungeon. They're really powerful. And obviously, in that second player, you could be like, what do I smell over here? What do I see in the corner in the darkness? And just, you might want this sword, you know. So in that one, Calcian can end up with a big cat ally, and that will be so much fun. So I think that most people would agree.
I will put the link to the Gamefound campaign in the description, so that everybody have got the chance. And I hope I get it up today, to hopefully make something to unlock a little bit more. So, all right. So then,
bless you, sir. That's fantastic. Thank you.
So now I'm in a hurry.
I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I hope you've got some hours free, because I know how long it takes.
Oh well, Paul. So I really thank you for the game, and
my pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
And I'm really I'm counting the days to get the game into my hands, or we meet later.
People's hands.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much.
I'll tell you what, we'll do this again. Yeah, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Please believe me, it's been my pleasure. It really has. You're a fantastic gamer. I've played in really good spirit, and I've had a great time with you, man. So yeah, I hope to do it again.
Yeah. So see you soon. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.